I blocked the father of my baby after I had a miscarriage and he completely abandoned me. So I'm 17, and last year I was dating this guy, Jake. We weren't super serious, but when I found out I was pregnant, I thought he'd at least try to be supportive. Boy, was I wrong. The second I told him, he started acting like a completely different person. He'd disappear for days without texting me back, then show up acting like nothing happened. When I tried to talk about the baby or what we were going to do, he'd change the subject or say we'd figure it out later. I was already scared and dealing with morning sickness, but Jake made everything 10 times worse. He'd make plans with me, then bail last minute to hang out with his friends. When I got emotional about it, he'd roll his eyes and say I was being dramatic because of pregnancy hormones. The worst part was when I had my first doctor's appointment. I asked him to come with me, and he said yes. I sat in that waiting room for 30 minutes, thinking he was just running late. Turns out he went to some party the night before and was too hungover to remember. I was 8 weeks along when I started having really bad cramps at school. I texted Jake freaking out, asking him to pick me up because something felt wrong. He left me on red for 4 hours while I was in the nurse's office crying. My mom had to leave work to take me to the hospital, and that's where the doctor told me I was having a miscarriage. I was completely heartbroken, and the first thing I did was call Jake to tell him what happened. He answered on the 7th ring and just said, "Oh, okay," when I told him. Then he said he had to go because he was at his friend's house and hung up. I didn't hear from him for 3 days after that. While I was home crying and trying to process losing the baby, Jake was posting Instagram stories from some lake party with his friends. He was jet skiing and acting like he didn't have a care in the world, while I couldn't even get out of bed. I kept texting him, asking if we could talk about what happened, but he'd either ignore me completely or give me one-word responses. It was like I didn't even exist to him anymore. The hardest part was that his family lives literally 3 houses down from me on the same street. Every day I'd see his mom getting mail or his little sister walking to the bus stop, and it would remind me of everything all over again. After 2 weeks of him completely ghosting me, I decided to block him on everything. I wasn't trying to be mean or get revenge. I just couldn't handle seeing him pop up on my phone or social media, posting pictures of his perfect life while I was still grieving. The next day, his friend Tyler came up to me at school and said I was being immature and unfair. He said Jake was hurting too, and that I owed him a chance to talk about it since it was his baby that we lost. I looked at Tyler and said, "Where was Jake when I needed him? Where was he when I was crying alone in the hospital?" He made his choice when he decided to ignore me for weeks. Tyler tried to argue that guys handle things differently, but I was done making excuses for Jake. I told him that blocking someone who treats you like you don't exist isn't immature. It's called self-respect. Jake never even tried to reach out after I blocked him. That told me everything I needed to know.